All right, YouTube, we're here with a build video on the Hobbyking EZIO 1500mm glider. And we're just gonna start by putting on decals because sometimes it's really easy to put decals on, but in this case, we just wanna make sure there's no confusion. So if you wanna come over and we'll start this. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at one of two drawings. There's this set here, which shows the top and bottom. There's also a drawing here. And then if you look over, you've got some more close-ups and things like this. So in our case, we're just going to start with a horizontal stab. And so my recommendation is make sure that you have everything going the right direction. This control is going to be coming from the bottom of the wing surface. Okay? So imagine this slipped in there. The control rod for the elevator is coming out the bottom. Okay? So you want the hinge tape on the top. All right, so that being understood, I marked horizontal and vertical on the sheet of decals. So let's go ahead and start peeling these back. Sometimes they're a little bit challenging to get peeled free, but they do feel like good quality decals. That's one thing about Hobbyking is you'll get things like this where there's an extra tail. Apply it. See, I got a bubble already. That bubble is because of the bend. So what I'll do is, once I get that applied, I'll just take and ride this sharp edge along the angle, and that holds it perfectly in place. Okay. So now while we get the other one applied, we'll pause. Okay, so we're going to flip this thing over now. And we're going to be putting on the bottom side decal. Okay, you notice there's a big one and a small one. The small one goes, hold the wing up there and just verify. If you did need to take heat to any of this, try doing it before you put the decals on. You'll be able to do it after, but it's more likely that you're going to have a mistake. So just be mindful of that. Okay, now I want to show you the trick I'm going to do, okay? See how this thing needs to be able to open up like that? So my plan is I'm going to put it onto the tail so that the clear portion of decal is on the edge of the wing. I didn't quite get it lined up perfect. I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up on the edge. Okay, so I've got it on the edge like that. And you'll see what's going to happen is as I bring this forward, now I can use my other hand to push the horizontal stab closed on that hinge point. Okay, so you see what we've done? Recreated that V. Now, why would we want to do that? Now we can take our sharp X-Acto knife like this, and we can cut this, and that will make a nice, clean, seamless joint. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to get the other one there first, and then it's a little bit easier for us to get our alignment exact, okay? So now these are just going to help us to have better visibility from the ground. Okay, so I'm just lining this up right here. This surface is flush. You don't want to have it wrap if you can avoid it because it just never wraps as good as you want it to. Okay, closing it tight. Ooh, I got a little bubble. Bubbles are bad. Start from the middle. Push it in, up, and out. Okay? So now obviously that's not going to work for your horizontal stab. Now you'll notice we also started with the top first. That was purposeful. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to very carefully, with a sharp X-Acto knife, I'm going to take and find the edge that I want it to be cut at, and I'm going to just dive in the blade just ever so slightly, and I'm going to walk across. Okay, and then here I'm going to do the other side now, and then I'm using my thumbnail to actually follow through. Okay, so you see how I'm kind of at this angle here, guys? I'm going to dive in there. If it doesn't cut all the way through, that's fine. Now that you've got that started, you can use your thumbnail to finish the cut, okay? Okay, this one needs just a little bit more tension in the middle. These are good quality stickers, guys. That's nice. Okay, now on this side, we'll go back and just double check. There's a couple of spots that are being troublesome. Okay, very good. So now that one didn't cut quite as good, but it'll be a lot easier than the alternative methods. Now, you could try to cut this first before you apply it, but if you do, make sure you leave the backing on. I wouldn't recommend it. That's going to be plenty good for what we're doing here. Okay? Some other people will try to go into the groove. It's going to cause this to not close as much. I wouldn't recommend that. So there's your horizontal stabilizer. And what we're going to do next is we'll do the vertical stabilizer because it's super easy. I'm going to try my X-Acto knife this time to release the decal here. Just to get up under it. Now, there is, you know, like right and left sides on this, but it should be pretty obvious because the pink or purple, I'm going to call it purple from now on, people. Don't worry. The purple needs to go, keep that stabilizer in the direction you want it to be. The rudder, sorry. Ooh, it was slipping on me. I want to get that thing just right there. Okay? Now this is going to stop the rudder from moving, okay? And you notice there's excess. You see the excess? And we actually went over the top a little bit, so I'm going to retry this. I don't like the way that turned out, so I'm just going to peel this back off. And this is where you get yourself in trouble being a perfectionist, because then you'll end up damaging something. Or like the covering will release funny or something weird. So we're just going to try again, okay? If at first you don't succeed, try until you've failed. Okay? All right, that was better. This time the seam is flush with the top of the wing, okay? And we have extra tail. I'm not sure why they're doing that on this model. So the way I've been dealing with it is you could wrap around the tail, but it's just going to be a moot point. So I'm just going to go like that. So you hold it up and then you clip, and that'll make a nice clean cut. Now, I want that to wrap into the seam as much as possible. So I'm going to push it with my thumbnail first. Now on the rudder, there's 2 CA hinges here, so I got to be careful not to cut through all the way. So I want to start at the top, get the blade working, and then follow. But I don't want to put enough pressure to cut the CA hinge at all. So I'm actually going to perforate it a little bit. And then I'm going to use the back side of the blade, actually. It would help if I had a little bit sharper X-Acto knife blade. Okay, now I'm going to take that surface and I'm going to open it up and then push my thumbnail down in there. And what that's going to do is that will wrap it into the inside of the hinge point. It feels like maybe I'm not totally cut yet. Okay, so now work the hinge. Nice clean finish. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. We'll just pause it for that. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do is I've got this side done and I've got this one applied. Now I'm going to actually close the hinge like that to get our nice tight joint. Now that we've got that hinge closed, you could leave it, but I would rather cut this because that's too much pressure, okay? Just don't cut your CA hinge. Now that you've got it pushed in, you should have a nice clean decal that'll stay. Okay, we're going to move on to the next. We got the wings to do next. Let me do that. Now, on the bottom of the wing, we do these black things, so we might as well get those done. So like I said, just lay your wing surface down. And this is the same scenario as with the rudder, in that we're going to be going over the top of a control surface. Like, why they didn't think of that when they were designing this is beyond me, but remember, we're dealing with Hobbyking here. Okay, I got that too low. So I'm gonna try again if I can get it off without trouble. Yep. So I need to go a little bit higher. The best thing you could do actually is just line up the bottom line, which it's clear, so it's hard to see in the video, but you'll understand when you're doing your own. Okay, and then just work it up. That worked nicely. It's a very good fit. Okay, now on this is gonna be a little bit easier because we have the tape joint here. So what we have to do is cut the seam here for the aileron control. Okay, so I'm gonna take a sharp X-Acto knife. Now, if you really wanted a nice clean cut, you could actually heat this up too. Okay, so I'm gonna bring the blade toward me and just, actually I can see the line now. So I'm gonna go in here sideways and just cut right at the inside of that hinge. I'm just gonna try to do this. See, the problem is if you make a mistake here, then it's gonna be hard to hide. It's always gonna be seen and it's gonna be ugly. Okay, so there you have it, guys. Nice, clean, tight, crisp decal. Okay? All right, we'll do the other side, bottom, just so it's done, and we'll come back from pausing. Okay, guys, so now the next set of decals is one of these tricky steps because there's a variety of different words that are similar on the decal pack. Okay, so we've got on the bottom of the wing, we're gonna have EZIO here, which is this one, okay? Then on the top of the wing, we're gonna have this one, all right? And then, so this is the bottom of the wing, and then I don't know with which one of these exactly for sure is the one that they intended to be back here. I think that this size and this size are different, so it goes small, medium, large. And so my hope is that there will be an obvious sign in that one of these is supposed to fit on the tail, one of these is supposed to be on the wing and between the wings. So if you plan on taking your wings apart, you'll have to cut that. You see that, guys? How it says EZIO and then it says Hobbyking? I think the smallest one is gonna go there. I think the medium size is gonna go here, and I think the big size is gonna go on the tail boom. So let's just double check on the tail boom dimensions. Okay, on the tail boom, we're supposed to have, you know what? I'm thinking it's the medium size. This one's supposed to go under the wing. So this one and this one, okay? Now they have the writing applied so that you'd be able to read it from the bottom of the plane, okay? And with the plane hanging vertical. So that's what I'm gonna do. And they're talking about the rib placement, so I'm feeling over to the first rib to the second rib. It's supposed to be placed between those two ribs. So we'll just go ahead and do that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the other EZIO, which is the black and white one. And I'm a little bit reluctant in application of these two decals just because there's a good chance that I'm gonna have to alter this later to make room for my flaps and things. Okay, second rib, third rib. It's actually the first and second rib. Oops. We'll just get that applied. Okay, so now we are gonna flip over and do the front of the wings. Trying to keep these oriented the same as the drawings. We'll make it a little bit easier. Okay, so on the main wings, obviously we're gonna be using these larger decals. It looks like the larger decals are gonna stop short of the ailerons, so that should help a little bit. Now, one trick to doing these big decals is you're basically gonna find two points you can hold, and then you're gonna look for the tip right there, guys, where my eye is. That tip is gonna align with the tip of the wing where the dihedral begins, okay? So now I can line this up so that that tip aligns right on the tip there. So you'll find a known point of reference and then you'll apply it. But these little things are falling down for me, which is not so good. So what I might do is I might go ahead and try to pull that a little bit tighter push this down and then just run the leading edge. Then I can neatly lift one at a time, and holding the wing upside down will give me, oh shoot, some of the backing was included with it. That was not supposed to happen. Sorry guys. Didn't even notice.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we've got to unpeel this little bit that fell down, and so we're holding the wing upside down for that reason. Okay. And if you keep having problems with it, you can actually take some of the backing and stick it in there, which we may have to do because this is really wanting to stick down. Let's try that. Okay, so the next trick will be find a spot that's already got the decal pulled out. And you can pull the wax paper. It just happened to pop off for me, which is nice. So I need a couple of these pieces. So make sure you put the wax paper underneath the right direction, of course. And then you can stick that wax paper underneath the tips. And that's going to give you the ability to control this one little step at a time. See, this one's the real bugger right here. Because if you're not careful the way you release these, then you'll end up damaging the finish. Okay. So stick that down. And then this one's really screwed up, so I may have to peel back from here. Okay, so on the next one, I think I'll do a little bit more aggressive control of that. Okay. Okay. So now that we've got that front edge applied, we need to pull tight here and lift. And that's going to pull that little vinyl area, that little area right there will pull tight. Okay, once it's tight, then you work out and out. Okay, so I'm going to push it in just a little bit because I had a little seam. You see how it's wanting to ripple on me? That's where you have to pull out. This is a tough decal. I didn't expect this one to be so tough, but I'm going to lay it down a little bit different this time. See, I'm just walking it into position, okay? Walking it, walking it, walking it. Okay, so now this side is not quite as bad, I don't think. Can you see that on camera, the air bubble?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good, because if you didn't see the air bubble, you would just think I'm nuts. This is actually a little bit challenging because of the angle of everything. And you've got an angle like this as well you're dealing with. It's a cool looking decal. But it's just like I've got this nasty bump here now.
Now that you have your little papers, can you pull that whole second half off again?
Yeah, I may have to. I think I have to, guys. So I'm going to peel this up. I hate to do that.
No.
I really hate to do that. So now you guys can see why this is such a pain. Okay, so I'm going to do this upside down now. And I'm going to do it just like I did the first one. Now some guys will spray like Windex or some other product like that, but I don't know if you'd use Windex because there's silicone in it. But what that does is that allows you to work the surface, and I don't really have a reason for having it on my head except that I can see really good and it's holding it. Oh yeah, way, way, way better application that time. Okay, so now I'm going to just kind of pull that tight to get a nice finish on that last part. And look how good that looks.
Yeah, that's way better.
We got it almost perfect. Now that we have this, we can go ahead and deal with these one at a time, starting from the inside, working our way out. Okay? From the inboard portion to the outboard portion is what I mean by that, guys. Yes. Okay, good. So we turned out pretty decent on that. Now, one other trick is just be careful. Don't overdo it. But if you have to, I will probably take my the iron to this, and that little ripple will be allowed to walk out easier because the adhesive will warm up. So that's good. We'll hang on to those little pieces. That should conclude the stickers on this wing. So we'll do the other wing, and we'll see if we get better luck doing the other wing. In case we come up with something handy, we'll go ahead and film this one too. So I think I'm going to just try to apply it upside down. What do you think?
I still think I do your little papers on those little...
On the little tabs?
Yeah.
Okay, so the middle came out again. Now this one's staticky, so it's sticking to me. You guys see this here?
Yep.
I sort of hate to waste those pieces because they're so strong. Okay, so I've got 3 of these here. Just make sure the wax paper is going the right direction, guys, or you're going to kick yourself. Okay. It's super staticky, this one is. The other one wasn't near as staticky, I don't recall. Okay, so this time I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm still going to locate that point. But you see what I'm going to try to do is locate only the point. Okay. Okay, so there we go. So the leading edge is stuck down. And now I think what I should do is I should do the more complicated one. But I'm going to just go straight down the middle and see if it'll go, which it's not going to go. I have to release it now again. Okay, so that's fine. Now we know for sure it'll be centered. Okay, so now that we have that released, we can go ahead and walk this back out. You know what amazes me is how much strength you add to a model from decals. It's a lot of strength from a piece of thin plastic. Okay, so now I gotta lift this again, unfortunately, because we got bubbles right in the inside. Okay, right to about where the center is. Okay, now we're gonna try to do this without putting it on my head this time. But if I have to, it's not a big deal. Now I'm just walking it in. Because now we know it should more or less line up where it needs to be as we lie it down. Okay? So now we're rolling a little bit over the leading edge there, but it's just in the clear stuff, so it'll look good. Okay? So you can see we're just kind of wrapping over to the front edge there of the wing. Just walk that out. Boy, that was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, hon. What do you think?
I don't know. Stickers are always hard.
Okay, to get them to look good.
Well, yeah.
Well, and the thing is, this isn't a foam plane, so this stuff gives.
Yeah. They look nice though.
Yeah, I think it turned out okay.
Definitely easier before you assemble it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because otherwise you'd be swinging the tail around, running into everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's on there. I would say that was about a perfect application. I don't see any bubbles, and it looks really nice and tight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool. So the next thing this should be done. So now the next thing we got to do is apply the decals to the fuse. And what we've got is, well, there's one decal that goes on the middle of the wing, and so we can't apply that yet. And then there's another decal that goes in the middle of the wing, here and here, okay? So what we need to do is we need to do the other decals, which looks like these are on the tail boom. Not that it really matters which side you do them on, but if you want to do them to the drawings, then this one here is going to go on the side that I have up right now. Okay, and that's going to go how far back? looks like here-ish. Okay, so we'll just push that down good, and we're gonna keep track of this position. The small one goes with this, so the medium size goes on the boom. See, and it's funny because normally you would think that if you're doing instructions, you would say, you would number these things and then there would be no ambiguity, but that's just a Hobbyking surprise for you, you know? Okay, there we go. So that, the medium size definitely was the tail boom. Okay, cool. We've got those aligned closely. And then what else do we have for decals? Looks like we've just got these swoops that go onto the middle of the fuselage, starting about midway through the canopy. And it looks like this is the portion the canopy is gonna be above. So let's start there. I thought this would be super, super easy. Oops. Okay, so what I did was probably just a touch further forward than the drawings show, but I went about midway through the sweep was the start of my swoop. So we'll try to emulate that exactly on the other side. So we'll see how these decals hold up. I would suspect that they'll hold up just fine, but this is the type of spot on a glider that's going to get beat up on the front. Ah, dang it. Okay, midway through the swoop. There you have it, guys. Nice and even looking. And we'll keep these when we get the wing put together. All right, so how are we looking on time?
27 minutes.
Okay, why don't we just call it quits here, guys. We'll come back for the assembly portion, so we'll call this the decal installation. And when we come back, we'll start putting the pieces together, and we'll have one last decal to put on during that installation. But thanks for watching. Check the description below for links to all the different stuff that you would need if you didn't have any radio controlled gear already. But if you do have gear, you can just pick and choose the things you'd need if you want to get this plug and fly model. And it's Hobbyking EZIO 1.5m, coming back in mere moments.